You're listening to Your Financial Identity with your host, Renee Hansen, where we explore relationships with money. We're talking about how our money stories, values, knowledge, skill set, and experiences develop financial identity, bringing awareness to financial behavior. You know, most people think that the problem with their finances is a math equation, or discipline, or not making enough money. But after working with people across every income level and life stage, I've learned something that just might surprise you. And money problems are rarely about the money. They're really about the identity. They're about the beliefs we've absorbed before we even had a bank account, the rules that we learned without realizing we were learning them, and the expectations we place on ourselves without knowing where they even came from. And that's what I call your financial identity. And when you understand it, when you understand your financial identity, really understand it, your relationship with money changes. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not magically obtained, but sustainably.
We've talked a lot about financial identity so far and the 5 attributes that make up financial identity. But one thing I don't really think we've talked about much yet is, what do people get wrong about the concept of financial identity?
Most people think of financial identity and money that it's about, their personality or the willpower. The personality. I'm a saver. I'm a spender. I'm a this. I'm a that. But it's not. And it's not about restriction. It's about allowance, allowing yourself to make good decisions. And financial identity starts with your money story. It's the emotional and experiential narrative you formed very early in life. It's what you heard about money, other people saying. It's what you observed, how people behaved in money conversations, and what felt safe or stressful or even off limits. In some households, money wasn't discussed, but it was certainly expressed in behavior. And here's the part that I say gently, but I say honestly and authentically to you. Every financial habit you have makes sense inside of that story. People don't overspend because they're careless, and they don't avoid finances because they're irresponsible. They're often responding to a belief that once served them and served them comfortably. If money felt unpredictable growing up, then control becomes safety, right? And if money caused conflict, which it has in many, many households, then avoidance feels like peace. If money was scarce, enjoying it may even trigger guilt, even when you've earned it. So once that money story is named, it stops driving unconsciously. And that's really important, is that you become conscious.
We have talked about a lot of negative things around the money story here. You said money felt unpredictable, money caused conflict, money was scarce. I don't see a lot of positive things coming out of this money story.
There's a lot of good money stories that people have, and there are some people who learn from negative behaviors from family. That's like, I'm not going to do that one, and so there's a positive outcome from it. And there are many people who grow up in a healthy environment, but oftentimes that healthy environment are from households that there isn't any conversation around money, but their wants and needs are satisfied. So it's a different narrative. The observation is that there's plenty of money, and I just do what I want to do, and it's taken care of. That is also part of a money story that can be challenging, because if you come from a family where the family expects you to be independent, and your independence isn't at the same level as your upbringing was, it can create some conflict.
Yeah, you're used to having a certain level of lifestyle, and then you go out on your own and aren't being supported by your parents anymore. And
dang it,
but you're still used to having the new car and a nice place to live and all of that. And maybe even if you didn't have bad experiences, you also aren't exactly equipped to make the best decisions as you go out on your own.
Every money story, good, bad, indifferent, shapes who you are and how you will make decisions.
So what you're telling me is I can just blame everything that's happening to me on my past.
Or your parents. I mean, right? That's where we begin to learn it, is in our own households. But it is very important to remove blame. And it isn't about blame. It's about the context of which you learned your money story. Because blame will keep you stuck, right? It's their fault. They did this, they did that, as if you have no responsibility, no authority to change your own money story. And if you begin to understand what it is, it gives you options. So, you can say, well, oh, that's why I do this. Then you shift from judgment to choice. And the choice is where you feel real financial change will begin and start. So the second strategy when we think about money story is the meeting yourself honestly. So we talked about how your money story is shaped and you recognize what it is, and then you begin to move on to meeting yourself honestly on the spectrum without shame. No blame, no shame. And this financial identity spectrum is the levels of identity, the 5 levels of identity that you can read about in Finding Your Financial Identity. But one of the biggest causes of stress isn't the lack of effort, it's misaligned expectations. And expectations can be a challenge in any relationship, in your relationship with money, in your relationship with others. And I try to take the 360 approach of expectations. So if I'm in a situation, what do I expect of myself? What do others expect of me? And then turn it around is, what do I expect of them and what do I think they expect of themselves? And sometimes you can have to have that open conversation. Is, okay, in this conversation, I'm expecting me to do this and I'm expecting you to do that. What are you expecting of yourself and what are you expecting of me? So one of the biggest causes, the biggest causes of not meeting expectations is not identifying and labeling the expectations. We feel them, but we don't label them. And so it's really important that we do that.
I want to break that down a little more because I think a few of the ideas around expectations are really intuitive, right? What do I expect of you and what do you expect of me? I think everybody more or less thinks about those, but there was others that you said in there that I want to explore a little more and understand what those mean, because there was other types of expectations that you mentioned there, right?
So the expectations, and when you mentioned what people expect of themselves and what do I expect of me?
Yeah, this 360 approach, right? You said.
Yeah, so switch roles. So I start with, okay, in this situation, what am I expecting of myself and what am I expecting of them? So if we're having an argument, my expectations might be that I want to keep my voice calm and they need to keep their voice calm. Then what are their expectations? Well, if they don't have the same expectations, we're not meeting in the middle. So if you can figure out what the expectation is, and for me, the expectation is about behavior and outcome, right? So if we're having a conversation, what is the outcome we're trying to achieve? Are we trying to agree on something? Are we just trying to discuss something? Are we having an argument about something that happened that we have to resolve? Are we looking for compromise? In other words, do we have the same outcome? In a family relationship, when you're having an argument, the expectation is that we're going to resolve this so that we can go to bed and not be mad at one another. If that isn't the same expectation of your partner in life, it's going to be tough to meet your own expectation. So if you can't express the expectation, it's very difficult for the other person to meet it. I had a friend tell me one time, and I adore him to pieces, and he says, Renee, if you don't tell us men what we're supposed to do, we are going to fail. So it's the expectations of that. But we also expect ourselves to perform at a level that we haven't yet developed. And that is very difficult. Or if we expect someone else to perform at a level they have yet to develop, is it our responsibility or is it even one of our expectations to help develop that? So Dave, as a parent, do you help your daughter, develop her decision-making processes through life?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we might have different responsibilities, but we have to have that calmness to be able to say, what are the expectations and how are we going to manage ourselves and how are we going to help other people? And that spectrum moves from the apprentice to the novice to the competent to the accomplished and the master. And every level represents capacity, not intelligence. It's not about your worth, and it's not about your successes. It's about your capacity to perform to your own expectations.
So these levels you've described: apprentice, novice, competent, accomplished, and master. These are the 5 levels of financial identity.
Yes.
One thing that I really struggled with in reading the book was how to know what level I was at, because the descriptions, I found myself identifying with different parts of each competency. There were certain things where I felt pretty competent at. There were other things I definitely felt like an apprentice at. The book gives various situations that it puts you in and says, if you'd handle it this way, you're probably an apprentice. If you'd handle it this way, you're probably competent. And depending on what the thing was, I had a different sort of level. So overall, it was hard for me to evaluate, at the very top level, what category I would put myself in.
Well, the good news is that you can actually take the test. Go to yourfinancialidentity.com and click on the quiz to find out where you're at. And that helps you begin to peg yourself and where you stand. That is a huge issue in America is, how do I, where do I fall within the spectrum of money and life, and how am I comparing to the Joneses, right? Or the Smiths, or, fill in the name. And the reality is you want to live your life, not their life. So figure out who you are and understand your financial identity, and then develop your financial identity, grow your financial identity so that you are living life fully.
That makes sense.
So one of the things that people will oftentimes get caught up in is that, okay, if I want to move here, then I have to do X, Y, Z. It's really about being consistent at your growth. Not the intention of achieving master is let's be consistent at what you're doing. Are you learning the language of your financial identity? Are you experimenting with learning and knowledge and conversation? Do you have the systems in place to make good decisions along the way? And are your decisions becoming more proactive instead of reactive? Are you responding instead of that? So your level isn't a label, it's information for you. It tells you what to work on next to build your financial identity in making life's decisions. And I'll say it this way, and hopefully you'll feel a sense of relief. Your current level is not a verdict; it's just a starting point.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense, and I'm excited to take the quiz. Going back to the money story and how it relates to values, I'm interested to hear about values. Obviously, we know we develop values initially, but they also might change over time. Could you talk about that?
Oftentimes, our values are shaped by what we have learned in our family house growing up, and sometimes the values will be opposite of someone else's, or can mimic them. So, for example, some people might think fame is a bad value. Why would you want fame? Well, if you're a movie star, you probably want fame. I mean, that's a level of success, right? And so they're probably always performing or behaving to that top value. And if it's something that you disliked, observing your parents or a family member in that role, that might be something that it's like, oh no, that's not it. Privacy is more of what I want in my life. So you might learn that you have a very opposite value because of what you observed. But later on, as you continue to develop, you might say, well, no, I do like recognition. I like to be recognized for my successes at work. And it might feel a little conflict with fame, but it's a nice way to say, oh, I can evolve and I can grow. Things can change, and it's okay that values change over time or evolve over time. It's recognizing the evolution that allows you then to behave within that framework.
That makes a lot of sense. And we've talked about doing the values worksheet and things like that. So I suppose probably from time to time, that is maybe an important thing to go and refresh, right?
It absolutely makes sense to do it. It may be identical, or you may see an adjustment, but you also may gain an awareness of how other things are playing a little more important role in your life than you had seen before. So if family is a primary value, and maybe you're of the age where the kids aren't around as much, and the grandkids have flown the coop as well, and you just don't see them as much, and you're doing many more things with your friends that are feeling very family-like. Your value may evolve from family to friendship, which is just a larger community of people that you love and want to be with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does change.
One of the other things that you mentioned earlier about how people mature their financial identity is going from being reactive to being proactive. And I think that seems like a really hard thing to do. How do you practice and develop that?
It is very hard. Life can come at you very quickly, and you feel like you're always reacting. Some people just have personality traits that they're never really working on being prepared. So start with, what is it you find of highest value that looks right for you? If coming home and everything is in order is important to you, then you want to make sure that you are proactive and you get the house cleaned up so that when you come home, you're feeling that way. That's a pretty simple example, but I often tell my husband is, I can juggle 35 things. Once you throw that 36th one on there, oh my goodness,
yeah,
I'm a mess, right? So you begin to think again, what are your goals? How do you want your life to look, so that you can then be proactive in arranging behavior and activities that you're living the life the way you want to live it.
Makes sense.
It was probably a simple example. In the financial planning world, proactive is much more process-oriented. In aligning the 7 key areas of financial planning to where you know that you have an adequate cash reserve if something happens. You're proactive in the event of expecting something to happen, because life does, just when you least expect it. Making sure that you are managing your budget so that you always can do the things that you want to do. Making sure that you have adequate protection in place for the things that go bump in the middle of the night, like a disability or a premature death. Ensuring that you take advantage during open enrollment at work for the benefits that you want to have, so that you don't miss the opportunity. You don't get to go back and change your mind, and making sure that you are planning effectively for your retirement and legacy.
Yeah, speaking specifically about the budget idea, I guess the difference between proactive and reactive is, oh shoot, I have overspent my budget. What do I do now? Versus, hey, I can see I'm coming up on reaching my limits for the month, and I need to, make sure I'm cautious about my spending for the rest of my budget period.
Yeah, so reactive is, I can't pay that bill because I had a really good time last weekend, or overspent on vacation, or whatever the rationale or excuse is. Yeah. If you are proactive on the budget, you'll build knowledge and you'll build skill set. So when I say budget, people know that, that's when we write down what we're supposed to be spending our money on. And many people can do that, but some will say, I just don't even know where to begin because it's such an overwhelming task. For those who then are able to create a budget, they begin to gain knowledge from it, which is, as I observed over the last 3 months, I thought I was going to spend $100 a month in dining out, but I actually spent $125. And that created a little bit of debt on my credit card. So what am I going to do about it? Now we have some knowledge in place. We can apply skill set. Okay, I'm going to go out less so that I don't overspend in my dining. I'm going to pay attention to my discretionary spending, and then I will assess again, gain more knowledge in that. And that's a key in building the skill set. As you develop that skill set further, you find out, with my raise and I kept to my budget, I now have money left over. Where do I want to apply it? Do I want to apply it to my 401k? Or do I want to go back to spending a little more on dining out? It's a choice. And the choices have pros and cons in each category. If you begin to apply then to your longer term goals, well, I was thinking about retirement. Maybe I'll put some of it to my 401k and some to increase my standard of living because I really do want to be with my friends more.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying here is once you have started to develop these skills and have started to understand your money story, you can sort of take some of that pressure off of yourself.
Yes, you're moving your money story to being your financial identity. You're moving from money story, integrating your values, and building your knowledge and your skill set so that you create new experiences. And this is maturing your financial identity over time. These are the same things that you apply when you make other decisions in life, like at work. That you can begin to do this. I'm new at work. I don't know much. Then I can learn a little bit more, and then I can build a little more confidence, and I can make decisions, and it reduces the pressure. Nobody likes to live life in a pressure cooker. Nobody. So now it's developing the financial identity so that you don't live life in a pressure cooker. You don't force transformation, though. You can't say, okay, today I'm going to learn this, and today I'm going to apply this. If you can consistently work on gaining knowledge through experiences, through learning, whether it's reading a book or learning from others, where you begin to gain knowledge, you build it step by step, and it begins to align with who you are, aligning your values, your goals, and your risk tolerance within the framework of your financial identity to build greater comfort and confidence in making decisions in life, whether they're financial or personal, can be very empowering, and it allows you to continue to mature on the spectrum of your financial identity so that you build better experiences and your behavior improves over and over where you achieve the master level. And this is really what finding your financial identity is about. It's not fixing yourself. It's not copying anyone else's version of success. It's about creating a relationship with money that fits your life. Many people are fearful about reading a financial book. And when you see the title, Finding Your Financial Identity, it sounds very financial. But you're not going to read anything about charts or learning about this. You're going to learn about how your relationship with money can drive better decisions, and better decisions will improve your relationship with money. It's about creating a relationship with money that fits your life, where you can live fully and feel comfortable and confident in your decision-making process.
Well, I know you say it's not about fixing yourself, but I will tell you, as someone who's read the book and having heard from several other people who've also read the book, there has been a lot of ways in which creating this relationship with money sure has helped people to fix things about their lives.
It's one of the pleasures of what I do, Dave, is to be able to see people live life fully and feel comfortable and confident in their decisions. I could not have picked a better career. I could not have fallen into a better career. It is so rewarding to see people smile and feel great about their life, feel great about their money, feel great about who they are.
And if you're interested in learning more, please go check out the book and the website, yourfinancialidentity.com.
Please pick it up.
Thanks.
We've had a good time today, and we hope you have too. If you have enjoyed this discussion, please rate or review us on Apple Podcast and like or subscribe on YouTube. And if you'd like to be a guest, please reach out to us at yourfinancialidentity.com.